Assalamu alaikum. So yesterday we were talking about the compound curve. So this is a curve which has two circular curves attached to each other, and both of them have different radius. And then we discussed some standards that the ratio of one radius to another should not be more than 2:1, and the standard for the length of the curve and so on. Today let us do an example for the compound curve. So this is the second type of horizontal curve. Just to remind you, there are 4 types of horizontal curves, and this is the second one. So we have a compound curve, which you can see in the figure as well, and this is for an intersection, and the point of PCC is given, point of compound curve, where the two curves are meeting with each other. The first curve and the second curve, where they are meeting with each other. The station is given, okay, and we have to find out the deflection angles for setting out the curve. So you have to do the layout table, which we did for the simple circular curve as well. So you have to do it for the compound curve, and I will tell you the difference between the layout of the simple curve as well as the compound curve. Now, to do the layout, first of all, I must know the start and the end point. So start is point PC and end is point PT. So I must find out the station of these 2 points to go on for the layout. Now PC and PCC have this curve between them. Okay, so I must know the length of this curve, and from PCC to PT I have the second curve between them, so I must know the length of the second curve. Now for finding out length, this is the equation, and this equation you can see there are two unknowns, two parameters, r and delta, and pi and 180 are constants. So I must find out r and delta. Now to find out r and delta, the r for both the curves is given. Okay, r for both the curves are given, and the delta is also given. You can see them in the figure. Okay, I did not calculate them; they are given directly in the figure. So r and delta are given. Okay, so if you are calculating the length of the first curve, you put r as 150 and delta as 34. If you want to calculate the length of the second curve, you will put r as 105 and delta as 26. Okay, so L1, which is the length of the first curve, comes out to be 89.01 meters. Okay, which is 2 stations and 29.01 meters. 2 station meaning 60 meters, and then the remaining is 29.01. Okay, and the length of the second curve is 47.65 meters, so which is 1 station and 17.65. 1 station means 30 meters, and the remaining is 17.65. Okay, now if you for PC, I will subtract L1 from PCC. Okay, L1 from PCC will subtract it to get PC, and for PT I will add L2 into PCC. Okay, so let us do that. Okay, again to show you the calculations for the meters here. Okay, so if you want PC, then I'm putting a bigger bracket here, then you write out the distance for the PCC. So PCC is 565 into 30 plus 10.5, so you get PCC, then you subtract the length, which is 89.01. okay, and then you close the bigger bracket and you divide the whole thing by 30 to convert to stations. Okay, now when you convert this value to stations, you will get something like 562 point, I think it is, can you do that? Can you tell me the exact value? 562 point, how was it? How much was it? If you do this, divide by 30, how much will you get? 562 point, how much? Yeah, so 0.38. Yeah, so basically it is 562 full stations, then 0.38 multiplied by 30, so it will come out to be 562 plus 11.4. Okay, and for PT it will be again the station of PCC, so 565 into 30 plus 10.5, Okay, then you close this bracket, then you add the length of the second curve, which is 47.65, and then you close the bracket and divide by 30. You will get 566.9 something. Okay, 566.9 something, and then when you make it, it will be 566 for stations plus 0.9. This is another decimal place. Okay, I'm just writing 0.9, whatever, 0.93. Okay, fine, good. 0.93 into 30, it will be 566 plus 28. Okay, so these are the stations of PC and PT. Okay, so now your layout would start. Let me go to the table here. So this is a layout table starting from PC. So at PC, deflection angle is 0, chord length is 0. For the second, so you are going from 562 plus 11.49 to next station. So after 562, the next station is 563. 563. So between 11.562 plus 11.49 and 563, the distance between them is I think 12.51. Oh, sorry, no, 18.51. Between 562 plus 11.49 and 563, if you calculate the distance, it will come out to be 18.49. Oh, sorry, 18.51. 18.51. 18.51 is the distance between PC, which is 562 plus 11.49, and the next station, which is 563 plus 00. Okay, so like I said, I will use a ratio approach like we did in the previous example as well. I'll use a ratio approach. Let me use that. So the ratio approach is you get the total L. So total L for this curve is 89.01 divided by half of the deflection angle of the curve. Deflection angle of the curve is 34. Half of that is 17. Okay, so L we calculated, deflection angle was given, I just took the half of it. Okay, then the distance for this part of the curve, I told you 18.51 divided by half of the deflection angle for this segment of the curve, which is, let's say, y. So give me the value of y here. Give me the value of y. 3.53, and if you convert 3.53 into degrees, minutes and seconds, you will get 3 degrees 32 minutes 8 seconds. Okay, how do you get it? I think I showed in this section the button on the calculator which converts the degrees, minutes and seconds into fractions and vice versa. So write 3.54 and then you press that button, you will get the answer in degrees, minutes and seconds. So you don't have to do the conversion yourself. Okay, the button on the calculator will do it for you. Okay, so then the chord length was 2r sine of this angle. Okay, now for the purpose of this class, I don't mind degrees, minutes or seconds or fractions. If you just keep the angle in fractions, I don't mind, there's no problem. Okay, so the chord length is 2r, so r is given as 150 meter for this curve, so 2 into 150, and then sine of this angle which we have calculated. Okay, and as I said, you don't have to take the half again. This is already half of the angle, so just take the sine. So when you take the sine, the chord length will be 18.49 meters. 18.49. Okay. Now from 563 to 564, you are going from one station to next station. Both are full stations, so you are adding 30 meters in the length. So I told you in the previous example, the angle should increase by degree of the curve, or in this column half of the degree of the curve, right? Because this column includes half of the angle. So is the degree of the curve given here? No, degree of the curve is not given. So I must find out the degree of the curve, and then I will add half of the degree of the curve in this angle to go from 563 to 564. Okay, so degree of the curve and radius are connected with this equation. Radius equals 1719 divided by degree of the curve, and radius is 150 meters. Okay, so give me the degree of the curve. Give me the degree of the curve. $11.46. Now you do the half of it, you will get 5.23, right? Half of it will be 5.23. So the next angle will be 3.53 plus no 5.73. Sorry, 5.73. You do the half of 11.46, you will get 5.73, right? So the next angle should be 3.53 plus 5.73, and when you convert it to degrees, minutes, and seconds, you will get 9 degrees, 15 minutes, and 55 seconds. And when you take the chord length, so you take the sine of it and multiply by 2r, you'll get the chord length as this much. Okay, then you add another 30 meters, you go to the next station, you will again add 5.73 in this angle, 9 degrees and 15 minutes and 55 seconds. So you will add 5.73 in this one, you will get this value, and then you take the chord length using this value. Okay, then after 565, the next point is PCC. Okay, I will not go to 566 because before that point I have the end of the first curve, which is PCC. So you write down the station of PCC. The deflection angle will be half of the total deflection angle. The last value will be half of the total deflection angle. Total deflection angle was 34. Half of it is 17. So you don't need any ratio or degree of the curve here. And when you use this angle to calculate the chord length, you get 87.69 meters. Okay. Now, the difference between a compound curve and a simple circular curve, you can see it here. PCC is repeated because PCC is the end of the first curve and the beginning of the second curve. So the first value was written as the end of the first curve, and the second value is written as the start of the second curve. So if PCC is the start point for the second curve, then offset and if chord length is 0, 0. Okay. Then after 565 plus 10.5, the next station is 566. Okay, and between PCC, which is 565 plus 10.5, and 566 plus 0, 0, the distance is 19.5. Okay, so you apply the ratio approach. So the total length is for the second curve. Okay, now this is the second curve. The total length is 47.65. The total angle was 26. Half of that is 13. And then the distance for this segment of the curve from 565 plus 10.5 and 566 plus 0, 0, the distance is 19.5. Okay, and I'm again trying to find out y. Okay, so if you find out y, it will be 5 point something, and when you convert it to degrees, minutes, and seconds, it will be 5 degrees, 19 minutes, and 16 seconds. And when you use it to calculate the chord length, again the chord length will be 2. Now the radius for the second curve is 105, so you will use that, and then you multiply by the sine of 5 degrees and 19 minutes and 16. Okay, you get the chord length. Okay, so this is the chord length. Okay, now the good thing about the second curve is very short. The second curve is very short. So after 566, you reach PT, which is 566 plus 28.15. So you don't have to find out the degree of the curve here. Okay, so PT is this is the station of PT, which you already found, and this angle will be the half of the total deflection angle. So 26 by 2, 13 degree, and use this to find out the chord length. Okay, so the difference between the compound curve and the simple circular curve was the PCC. After PCC, you end the first curve and you start the second curve. Okay, so the layout data will be divided into 2 parts, which are connected with PCC. Okay, now we'll discuss the third type of horizontal curve, which is a reverse curve. Okay, now reverse curve is again a combination of 2 circular curves, and these two circular curves have the same radius and the same angle. Now, any person who has some knowledge about geometry, he would say if two curves have the same radius and same angle, then it means they are the same curve. Why we are saying two curves? Because these two curves are in opposite direction. You can see it at the in the picture here at the bottom. These two curves are in the opposite direction. This is the first curve, and this is the second curve, and they are in the opposite direction. Their radius is same, their delta is same. Okay, although they are saying delta 1 and delta 2, but they are same. Delta 1 equals delta 2. Okay, so in terms of value, they are same. Okay, so there are two curves in two different directions. Why do we provide reverse curve? Reverse curves are provided for shifting of the alignment. Shifting of the alignment. Okay, now you would say whenever we change the alignment, we provide the curves. So what is special about reverse curve? Reverse curve is shifting the alignment to a parallel line. Reverse curve is used for shifting the alignment to a parallel line. So you are on this curve, you are in this line. When you cross both the curves, when you reach the end of the reverse curve, you are in this line now. And between this one and this one, they are parallel to each other, right? So you are shifting the person from one alignment to another alignment. Okay, like one parallel alignment to another alignment which is parallel to it. So this is where do we use it? You can see one example here in the picture. Okay, this was a reverse curve which was made because of a construction project happening at the 16 December highway. So when you are going from 16 December highway to Sheikh Zayed highway, I took this picture a few months ago. So at that time they were doing some construction work. So one lane on the Sheikh Zayed highway near the driving school was closed. So when you go from 16 December highway to Sheikh Zayed highway, these are all in front of the campus, right? So when you go from this highway to when you cross the intersection, the other lane is closed. On the other side, the lane was closed. The lane was closed. So you had to shift. So you are on this lane, and then you have to shift to the other lane. Okay, you have to continue like this. So you can see there's a warning sign that there's a reverse curve. So you can see this is one curve, and this is the other curve. Okay, so this is a reverse curve, and you can see a warning sign there. Now reverse curves are considered very dangerous, so they are very rarely provided. Like in this case, you had to provide a reverse curve because of the construction activity. Otherwise, you will avoid providing a reverse curve, especially at these highways which are high-speed roads. Okay, and wherever the reverse curves are provided, you will see a warning sign like this. In Bahrain, this is the standard sign for reverse curve. So whenever there is a reverse curve provided, a warning sign should be provided. Why? Because reverse curves become dangerous because the drivers cannot keep in their lanes. You are going like this in a zigzag motion. So you are going over a curve, okay, and then without any brake or without any brake or without any extra length, you have to change your direction completely. See? So you are going like this along this curvature. Now at this point, which is point O, your curvature is completely changed from one direction to the complete opposite direction. So you are changing your direction 180 degrees at one point. Okay, so obviously in this case, it becomes very difficult for the driver to maintain their lanes. Okay, so that's why there are high chances of accidents, and we try to avoid that. A good alternative to a reverse curve is providing a broken back curve. I discussed about broken back curve yesterday as well. So instead of having those two curves meet at this point O, you provide some straight distance between them as well. So the first curve ends at point O, and the second curve does not start at point O. It will start some distance after point O. So we have a second tangent here, like in between the first curve and the second curve, we have a small tangent. Okay, a small straight section. So it gives a driver more time to adjust to the change of curvature. Okay, so this is a better design, but obviously it needs more space. It needs more space. So if you have the space, you do it like this. If you don't have it, then you have to provide a reverse curve, and then you have to go on with that. Okay, so now in this picture you can see two distances, d, small d and capital D. Now we all know about r, right? R is the radius. Okay, and we all know about delta, the deflection angle or the angle of the curve, And we all know why this is delta by 2, because this is the angle between the tangent and the chord. Okay, so this will always be half of the deflection angle, delta by 2. Now what are these distances, small d and capital D? A small d is the shift in the alignment you want to achieve. Okay, so you want to go from this line, which is wx, to this line, which is yz. Okay, so how much distance you are shifting? Small d. Okay, and what is capital D? Capital D is the straight distance from beginning of the reverse curve to the end of the reverse curve. Again, I am saying the reverse curve, not the first curve or the second curve. Beginning of the first curve and end of the second curve. If you want to say it like this, then this is how you should say it. Okay, so capital D is the straight distance from the beginning of the vertical curve to the end of the vertical curve, or you can say the beginning of the first curve and end of the second curve. Okay, that is capital D. Let us look at some more equations related to reverse curves. So we have this equation, I already told you about it. Both angles are same, so delta equals delta 1 equals delta 2. Okay. Then the angle between the chord and the tangent. Okay, this angle and this angle, they are the same. Okay, so delta 1 by 2 equals delta 2 by 2 and so on. Now, if you look at this picture, W, X and Y make a right angle triangle. W, X and Y, they make a right angle triangle. Okay, in this right angle triangle, the angle at X is 90, the angle at W is delta by 2, and the angle at point Y will also be delta by 2. Okay, as I said, they are writing delta 1, delta 2, but I told you delta 1, delta 2 are same, so I will call it delta. So we have delta by 2 angle here, delta by 2 angle here, and 90 degree here. Now, if you calculate the tangent of delta by 2 for this triangle. Okay, so tangent of delta by 2 or tangent of any angle is perpendicular upon base. Now delta is taken from this line, wx. So my base becomes capital D. So my perpendicular will become yx, which is small d. Okay, so small d is perpendicular and capital D is the base. So tangent of delta by 2, tangent of this angle is small d upon capital D. And if you want to make it for a small d, then you put a small d on one side, on the left hand side, take everything else on the other side, you get this equation. Okay, so this is the equation to calculate capital D. Now in this equation, if you know d, then you can know capital D as well. And delta obviously will come from the side. How to get the value of small d? So this is small d. See, this one is small d. Okay, now I know this is the starting point of the curve and this is the center point of the curve. Point Z is the center point. Okay, so from center to the starting point, the distance will be r, radius, right? From any point of the curve to the center, the distance is r. So from W to Z, the distance is r. From O, what is point O? The end of the curve. So from point O to point Z, the distance is again r. Okay, this distance is also r. And the angle between these two lines is delta, the angle of the curve. Now, if you want the projection of this line on this axis, if you want the projection of r, this inclined r on this axis, it will be r cos delta, right? It will be r cos delta. So if I take the projection of r on this axis, it will be this distance, right? So this distance is r cos alpha. R cos alpha. Okay, and from W to Z, the total distance is also r. Now if you do r minus r cos delta, you will get this distance, and this distance is d by 2, small d by 2. You take the total distance r, subtract the projection of this r on this axis, r cos delta, you will get d by 2. So in order to get d, I should take it twice. I should do r minus r cos delta twice. So this is what they are doing here, r minus r cos delta twice. Again, they are writing delta 1 and delta 2, but there is no need for it. Okay. So if you add these terms here, so you will get 2r minus 2r cos delta. If you add them, you get 2r minus 2r cos delta, and 2r will be constant or will be common in both the terms. So you take 2r as common outside and the remaining is in the bracket. Okay, so this is the equation for D. You can use the same equation for R. So you put R on the left hand side, everything else on the right hand side. This becomes the equation for R. And if you want the equation for cos delta, then this is the equation for cos delta. In some case, if deflection angle is not given, so you can use the equation for cos delta to find out the value of delta as well. Okay, so these are some of the equations for reverse curves. Let us look at an example. We have an arterial to be connected with a frontage road. This is a very good example of why we have to provide a reverse curve on some locations. Now, if you must have traveled on Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Highway. So either you are towards the side of the Dana Mall or you are towards the side which is for the city center. Okay, in any side you are on, there is a side road parallel to the main road, and that side road takes you towards the mall. If you want to enter the parking of the city center, or I think they have a hotel there at the basement, whatever. So if you want to go there, you cannot do it directly from the main road. From the main road, you have to go to the side road. Okay, side road. In some countries they call it service road, and in USA they call it frontage road. All these things means the same thing. It's a parallel road beside the main highway. It's a parallel road beside the main highway which provides you parking or access to any other building near the road. Okay, so you do not access the buildings near the road from the main road directly because it will be dangerous. So we provide a side road, and that side road obviously is parallel, right? The side road is parallel to the main road. So whenever you have shifting from one road to another road which are parallel to each other, you will do it with a reverse curve. Obviously, on roads like Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Highway or some other big roads, the reverse curves are also very wide. So you do not feel the discomfort. You do not feel the danger. It is dangerous to go from the main road to the side road. But if you have like we have side roads in even Ali as well. I live in Ali. I think there are side roads and refine on all the other areas. So if you are doing this shifting from the main road to the side road on a minor road, then you will feel that what I'm talking about, why reverse curves are dangerous, because then the turning is very sharp and you have to go very carefully. Okay, or you should go very carefully. Now, so this is another example why we can provide or we have to provide a reverse curve. Okay, now the distance between the two roads is 60 feet. The PC is given and we have to find out the station of PT. Deflection angle for both the curves is given 25 degrees. The deflection angle is the same, right? Now, PC and PT. Between PC and PT I have what? This curve and this curve. Both of them have the same lengths, but these are two curves. These are two curves. So to go from PC to PT to find out the station of PC, find out the station of PT, I must add length of this curve and length of this curve in PT. In PC. To find out the station of PT, I must add the length of both the curves in PC to get the station of PT. Okay, so both lengths are same because both curves have same radius and same delta. So if I can find out the length of the first curve, I will add it twice to get the station of PT, right? So I need the length of the curve. For length of the curve, the equation is what we have used earlier in this figure. See, R delta pi by 180. So I need R and delta. Now if you come to this question, delta is given 25 degrees. I need R. Okay. R for a reverse curve can be found from one of these equations. Okay. So delta is given. If I have D, then I can find out R. Now what is D? D is the shift in the alignment, right? So that is given. You are shifting from the main road to the frontage road, right? And how much is the distance between the two roads? 60 feet. So this becomes a small d. So small d is 60 feet, delta is 25 degrees. You apply the equation, the R comes out to be 320.20 feet. Okay. Now this example is in feet. This example is in feet. Okay. So you have the chance to do the stationing in feet as well. So you have radius. You will find out the length. So length is R delta pi by 180. R is 20.2. Delta is 25 degrees. L comes out to 139.71. And then you add length twice for station of PT. Okay, so let me do it here. Now for feet, the adding and subtraction is easy because one station is 100 feet. So it becomes easy. How? For example, the station is 38 plus 25.31. So 38 plus 25.31. Okay. In terms of distance, it will be 3825.31. Right? Simple. One station is 100 feet. 38 multiplied by 100 feet. So 3800 feet plus 25.31. 3800 feet plus 25.31. So the distance is 3825.31. Simple. Then you add 2 times length. So 3825.31 plus 2 multiplied by 139.71, and you get the distance for PT. It comes out to you 4105.73. Okay, so if this is the distance, then the station is, now what is this? 4100 plus 4.73, right? So 4100 means 41 stations plus 4.73. This is a station of PT. Okay, so you see things become simpler when you are dealing in feet, but life is not simple, so the course is not simple. Okay, and actually this is, maybe some student prayed for it and it happened, because from the first semester since I've been teaching this course, students were saying, why don't you teach us in meters, why don't you teach us in meters? Now you have the book in meters. Okay, and then you have all the problems with it. Okay, but anyways, you will stick to it. Okay, no need to change, because this is the newer edition of the book, as they say, newer edition. Anyways, so I hope this is clear. Now I will move to the fourth type of the horizontal curve, which is the transition curve. Now if you remember, in the earlier slides I called it a spiral curve. A spiral or transition means the same thing. Spiral, transition means the same thing. Now a spiral or transition curve is a higher degree of curve, and it does not have a constant radius. Radius of a transition or a spiral curve changes from one point to another. Okay, so it is different from any other horizontal curve. Simple circular curve had constant radius. What was the other one? Compound curve had 2 radius. Okay, so one portion has radius R1, the other portion has radius R2, and that's it. Reverse curve, again, same radius, only the direction is changing. Okay, but in a transition curve, the radius changes even from one point to the next point. So after every meters, the radius is changing. Okay, now what is the benefit of providing a transition curve? Why do you have providing a transition curve? Transition curve is never provided alone. Transition curve is never provided alone. Transition curve is not provided between 2 tangents. Transition curve is never provided between 2 tangents. Transition curve is either provided between a tangent and a circular curve, or between the next circular curve. Transition curve is always provided between a tangent and a curve, or one circular curve and another circular curve. Okay, if you are providing it between a tangent and a curve, then it is known as spiral curve. If you are providing between one curve and another curve, it is called as a transition curve. But in terms of geometry, they are the same. In terms of geometry of the curve, they are the same. Their purpose is also the same. Okay, but if the position is between tangent and a curve, we call it spiral. If the position is between one curve and another curve, we call it transition. Now, why do we need it? We need it to provide the gradual change of curvature to the driver. We need a transition curve to provide a gradual change of curvature to the driver. Now, if you are on a straight line, you are going on a straight section. So what is the radius? What is your radius? What is the radius of a straight line? I would say 0. So you are wrong. 0 means a point. Only a point can have a. On the other hand, a straight line has a radius of infinity. A straight line has a radius of infinity. Why? Why? Because it's very large. Now you would say, why the straight line has a radius? Because of the laws of physics. There is no straight line in this universe. Everything is bent. Only you cannot see the bend. Only you cannot see the bend. Okay. So after some distance, it will start to bend, because everything is attracted towards the other. Okay, that's the law of the nature. So the straight line, it will bend point of time, but it is the bend is so large that the radius becomes infinity and you cannot see it. Okay, this is the physical phenomena. Anyways, so to go from infinity to radius, now what will happen? Let me make it here. So you have this tangent, okay, and you have this curve. Okay, now this is the starting point of the curve. Now before this point your radius was infinity. After this point your radius should be r1, or r, whatever is the radius of the curve. Now to shift from infinity to r, how much space you have? Only one point. Only one point. Okay, so before this point infinity, after this point r. Okay, so it's like a centimeter or even a millimeter, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so before, if you are 1 centimeter behind the starting point, your radius is infinity. When you come to the starting point of the curve PC, your radius becomes r. So this is a large difference in radius which is happening at a single point. Okay, so instead of doing that, if I provide a transition curve, so what will happen? So this point will not be here, the curve will not be here, the curve will be starting from here. Sorry for my drawing, I told you a number of times it is not good, I know that. Okay, and the curve, let me try again. I can make a curve here. Okay, so this is your curve. So between them, okay, you will provide a spiral curve. Let me use another color. Okay, so this is your spiral curve. Okay, so this spiral curve has a changing radius from start to end. So its initial radius is infinity, then from one point to the next point it will keep on changing until it reaches r at the end point, and the end point is meeting this circular curve. Okay, so this is the function of the spiral curve, to change your radius from infinity to r gradually, okay, from point to point. And similarly, you will have a spiral curve at the end of this curve as well, or a transition curve if it is meeting with another circular curve. Okay, so if it is meeting with another circular curve, then it will be like this. So you have the spiral curve, so you have the transition curve, and then you have the next circular curve. Okay, and this spiral curve is changing your radius from r1 to r2. So the initial radius of this transition curve will be r1, and the final radius will be r2. Okay, so again from r1 to r2 it will go gradually. If this curve was not there, then you have to again shift from r1 to r2 at the point PCC. Remember, point of compound curve. So then again it can be difficult for you. Okay, so the main function of the spiral of the transition curve is to provide you gradual change in curvature. Another function is the provision of super elevation. Now we discussed earlier that when you are on the curve, you need to raise the outside edge of the road so that it can help you in turning, because the vehicle through inertia wants to go straight and you are trying to turn the vehicle. So to help you to turn, to facilitate into turning, you raise the outside edge of the road so you can turn easily. Now that means the normal slope of the road, the normal cross slope of the road should be converted into super elevation, and it should be converted again gradually. Okay, it should be converted again gradually. So a spiral curve or the transition curve provides you that space where you can also provide a gradual change of normal cross slope to super elevation. Okay, from normal cross slope to super elevation, you can achieve some part of it on the spiral or the transition curve as well. Okay, so if you are going from a straight line to the curve, then your change is from normal slope to super elevation. If you are going from one curve to another curve, maybe both curves have different values of super elevation. It can happen. So this curve, the first one was designed with super elevation value of, let's say, 2%, and the second one is designed for super elevation value of 3%. So again, to change from 2% to 3%, you will do it in this space, the space of the transition curve. Okay, so these are the two function of the transition curve, providing gradual change in drivers for the driver from the tangent to the curve or from one curve to another curve, and the second is providing the space to gradually change the normal slope of the road to super elevation or from one super elevation to another one. These are the equations to find out the minimum length of the curve. Okay, so the first two are in meters, the last one is in feet. Sorry, the first two are in feet, the last one is in meters. Okay, now, so U is velocity, R is the radius you want to achieve, and C is the rate of increase of radial acceleration, which has a range from 1 to 3 feet per square second per second, or 0.3 to 0.9 meter per square second per second. Okay, so whichever units you want to use. Okay, so this equation, the first one is given in feet here, and then it is given in meters here at the bottom. Okay, this equation, the second one, P minimum, and you know R is the radius. P minimum is the offset generated because of the spiral curve between the tangent and the curve. The offset generated between the tangent and the circular curve because of the spiral curve. So this is your tangent, this is your curve. Now the curve was supposed to start from here. The curve was supposed to meet the tangent. So if the curve is meeting the tangent, then the offset is 0. Remember, we have done it in the examples. The first point has an offset of 0. Now, if this is the case, now with the provision of the spiral curve, you have changed the offset. You have generated an offset. Okay, so this is my spiral curve. Okay, so if the circular curve was starting from here, then the offset was 0. But now the circular curve is starting from here, so this is an offset here. So how much is this offset? This offset is 0.66 feet or 0.2 meters. The offset is 0.66 feet or 0.2 meters. Okay, so you have the value of P. If you put the value of P and R in meters in this equation, you will get the answer in meters. If you put the value of P and R in feet, you get the answer in feet. So there is no conversion required here for the second equation. Just pick the values of feet and meters. The equation will remain the same. The second equation remain the same. Only you have to change the values of P and R in feet and meter. Now you have you will have two values for length of the spiral curve. You will have two values from these two equations, and both of them are saying minimum. So both are minimum criteria. Okay, so let's say the first equation gives you 100, the second one gives you 150. Which value would you take, 100 or 150? Now we have done it for the vertical curves as well. Whenever you have two minimum criteria, you will pick the highest value to satisfy both of them. So for example, if you pick 100, so you will not satisfy the other criteria which requires 150 meter length. So you pick 150 meters, you are satisfying both criteria. Okay, so you'll calculate two values and you will pick up the highest one, like we have done it earlier as well. Now if there are any questions, you can ask me, otherwise I'll go for the attendance. Muhammad Al-Ajab, Zahra Ali Ahmad. If you see your name on the screen, please raise your hand. Zahra Ali Ahmad, Balqis Muhammad, Mahdi Abdulillah.
Here.
Hala Munir. Mahdi is here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Balqis and Hala Munir. Balqis Muhammad, Hala Munir. Ali Hussain.
Here.
Okay, Ali is here. Fatma Muhammad. Umar Muhammad, Manal Yasin, Muzun Faisal.
Here, doctor.
Muzun, Manal, and Umar. Okay. Then we have Sara Khamis, Zainab Ali Ahmad, Noor Tawfiq. Okay, all of them are here. Good. Muhammad Jafar, Wasan Rafiq is here, Wasan is here, Bayan Qadim is here. This section is done. Anybody from this section? Done, right?
Doctor, did you write
Yeah.
my name?
Who was that?
Mohammed Ajab.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Balkis is here? No. Right? Balkis is not here. Balkis Muhammad. Yes, Maria, I will just go to the other section. And Hala Munir. Hala Munir, raise your hand. Hala Munir raised her hand. Okay, section 1. I have Maria Fauzi, right? Okay, anybody else from section 1? Nobody else, right? So we are done. Both sections done. Okay, see you on Thursday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.